just to let everybody know, there's some voices in the background of people who are helping me out to talk about this painting, because it appears that I'm a little bit shy in front of the camera. So here we go. Okay, so what do you like about the painting? What do you think about Fauci? Should he have a skull on the plate?
I definitely think he should have a skull on the plate, and I like the human heart in the foreground.
Right. Yeah, so what do you think the heart means?
Maybe the heart of humanity.
Could be. Or somebody's heartless.
Mm-hmm.
Or this crew has got an appetite for everything, including your heart. So I'll tell you a little bit about the pig. Have a good look at the ear, and you'll see a golden earring in there.
Notice that.
And then I'm not going to tell you what it means, but I just wanted to point that out.
We've got some moldy bread there.
Yes, challah.
Yes, challah.
Right. So, from what I understand, the Last Supper was a Seder. And so they would have had some, probably not challah. I think challah is probably a middle age invention of the Europeans. It's probably Ashkenazi. And Jesus is definitely pre-Ashkenazi. So what would it have been, matzah or something? But challah is a pretty nice look.
Yeah.
And
I think it would have been unleavened bread, right? Maybe? Or not?
well, I think so. They must have had leavened bread because they made the distinction when they crossed into Egypt that they were restricted to unleavened bread, right? And so that's the symbolism of the Seder. So yeah, you're right. They would have used the unleavened bread to symbolize the escape from Egypt.
What about the teddy bear?
Which one? There's two. Well, there's a
table.
panda bear over there, and there's a teddy.
Yeah.
This
Teddy.
I wanted to get our friend old Vladimir into the painting, and but I was, the table is full, so no more space. So that's a Russian bear from like the 1800s that I found online. So that's the symbolism, and you can barely see it, but this is the old Soviet Union. So you have a hammer, a star, and a sickle there. So we have the Russians they are at the table, and maybe they're ready to deal with this cast of characters. And somebody asked before about this black sphere. So this is George Soros's magic object. Like the bad guys, they have the two spheres, and they go like this kind of thing. Well, that's his evocation of whatever intention that he has, Mr. Soros. I used to admire him. He was in Malaysia. There's a man named Mahathir who was running Malaysia as a tyrant in the 1980s. And he was going into Borneo, and he was absolutely stripping the forest there clean. And there are a group called the Dayaks who lived there on the land, Aboriginal groups of Dayaks. And he just plucked them off of their homeland, their sacred space, and put them in little boxes on the Malaysian peninsula where they had no idea why they were there or what they were doing. And stripped their island from one end to the other clean. And pretty odious character. So Mr. Soros came into Southeast Asia and destabilized all the currencies in the region and collapsed economies one at a time, Thailand, Indonesia, and I was living there at the time going through this process. And when he got to Malaysia, Mahathir started, screaming and yelling, and they were at the UN, and Mahathir started going on and on that Soros was a Jew and Mahathir is Muslim, and started making slurs at Soros for being Jewish. And Soros gave this tyrant a dressing down in front of the world and just laid waste to him. And at that point, I just thought he was great. Until recently, when I thought a little less of Mr. Soros. So he got into the painting. Go ahead.
What about the globe and the pyramid right there?
So,
in the bubble.
what's the ultimate feast? What are these guys after? What do we call them?
Globalists.
Globalists. So, the pyramid is the antidote, or maybe what it is the inaccessible for these guys, because the pyramid has withstood all of the various iterations that civilization and culture have put onto society, and still stands. It's indestructible, but they'd want that too. They want the whole shebang. So that's the. But notice it's at the end of the table. They haven't gotten it yet. Yeah, so that's.
And the Buddha rising out of the basket or whatever that is?
That is a chetty. You know what a chetty is? So a chetty is like a funeral. No, what do they call it?
Like a stupa?
Yeah, it's like a stupa. What do you call sacred objects like the tooth of
A
Relic?
relic.
a relic? Yeah, this is a reliquary.
Mm.
So it used to be just a dirt mound in India, and then it became more and more stylized. And this is the version from Borobudur in Indonesia, that sacred monument. And there's a whole bunch of them at the top of this structure. And they're fenestrated, so if you look, there's little holes, diamond-shaped holes here. And normally the thing, it's really cool because it goes right up and over, and there's actually a Buddha image inside of these things. And then it has a little spire off up onto the top, like a jetty
They're
should be.
nice.
They're really, really gorgeous.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just took the top off and had to have the Buddha as a different perspective, looking on these things. Could have been Jesus or Muhammad or anybody who's got an awareness. So that's that one. And I think the stupas are really cool looking.
Yeah.
It was fun to paint. Keep going. This is fun.
The eggs on the far.
Oh, that's so obvious. But first of all, it's a Seder, and you have eggs, right? But that's fertility. That's the future of our planet. That's our children, and they're on the plate too.